You know, the Artemis II mission, it wasn't just about testing new gear or smashing old records. No, it was a story about four people on this absolutely profound journey, one that changed how they saw everything, especially the home they left behind. So let's get into it.
And this right here, this simple but, wow, powerful idea from the mission's pilot, Victor Glover, it's really the heart of this whole thing. He realized that while he's looking down at Earth from his capsule, we're all passengers on a much, much bigger ship. The trip to the moon, it turns out, was really a journey to see our own planet for the first time.
So let's start right there with that huge shift in how you see things. I mean, what does it actually feel like to see our entire world as this one single spaceship hurtling through the cosmos? Glover had this just brilliant way of explaining it. He's looking at the Orion capsule, all the buttons, the switches, the incredible machinery, and he knows this thing didn't just appear out of thin air. It took a massive amount of work and money and smarts to build. And then he looks back at Earth and asks the question, okay, if this little capsule needed a creator, what does that say about the planet itself, with its mountains and oceans, fruits, flowers, animals, and us? And this thought led to another amazing analogy. The astronauts started seeing Earth not just as a big rock, but as this cosmic pharmacy. Think about it. Here on Earth, healing isn't just in a little pill bottle. It's literally in the bark of a tree, or the root of a plant, or the food on our plates. It's this perfect, self-sustaining system that gives us everything we need to live, just floating all by itself in the emptiness of space.
But that feeling of connection to Earth, well, it was about to be put to the ultimate test. As the crew swung around the far side of the moon, they went into what they called a period of profound solitude.
Now, this seems like a total paradox, right? I mean, NASA can talk to a rover on Mars, which is hundreds of millions of kilometers away. But for 40 minutes, they completely lost contact with a crew that was, relatively speaking, right next door. So why? What happened?
Well, the key here wasn't about how far they'd gone. It was all about the path. You see, the line of sight to the Mars rover is totally clear. It's unobstructed. But for the Artemis II crew, something massive got in the way.
The reason was actually pretty simple. The moon itself became a physical barrier. It's kind of like if you're standing on one side of a huge, thick concrete wall and your friend is on the other. You're super close, but you can't see him, you can't hear him. For 40 long minutes, the moon blocked every single radio wave, and the crew was plunged into total, complete silence.
And just listen to those first words when they reconnected. In that moment, you can just feel the weight of that isolation and the sheer relief of hearing home again. It wasn't, Houston, we're back. It was this emotional greeting to the entire planet. That silence made the sound of Earth that much sweeter.
But hey, the mission wasn't only about enduring that kind of solitude. It was also about pushing the absolute boundaries of human exploration further than we've ever gone before.
And there it is, 461,717 kilometers. That is the new world record, the absolute farthest any human being has ever traveled from our home planet. It beat the old record set by Apollo 13 more than 50 years ago. Just a monumental achievement.
And yet, right at the peak of this historic, massive achievement, the crew shared this deeply personal, deeply human moment. Commander Reid Wiseman's wife, Carol, had passed away recently, and right there, he chose to name a crater in her honor. For 45 seconds, there was just silence as they paid their respects, a small, quiet memorial at the very edge of human experience.
And then came another incredible moment, connecting the past to the present. You see, Jim Lovell, the Apollo 13 commander whose record they had just broken, had passed away before the mission. But he knew he might not live to see it, so he pre-recorded a message for them. And right as they crossed that historic line, they woke up to the voice of a legend, telling them to enjoy the view that he once had. Just amazing.
So you have to wonder, how do people manage these incredibly intense emotions? The fear, the awe, the grief, all while doing one of the most dangerous jobs you can possibly imagine? Well, the answer lies in a special psychological tool that they all have to master.
It's a technique called compartmentalization. And what it means is that astronauts are trained to mentally separate their feelings from their tasks. They literally create different boxes in their minds. There's a box for fear, a box for work, a box for family, and they choose which one to open at any given moment.
This quote from an Apollo commander just sums it up perfectly. It's not that they don't feel fear, of course they do, but they make a conscious decision to make that work compartment bigger. This is what lets them focus, solve problems, and even experience awe and wonder, all while knowing that they're in an extremely dangerous situation.
And that danger was never, ever more real than during the mission's final challenge, the fiery re-entry into Earth's atmosphere.
Okay, just try to imagine hitting a wall of air at 40,000 kilometers per hour. That is the insane speed the Orion capsule had to handle as it slammed back into our atmosphere after coming all the way from the moon. Now, the friction from that speed creates an unimaginable amount of heat. We're talking 2,700 degrees Celsius. To put that into perspective for you, that is half as hot as the surface of the sun. Half. The crew's survival depended entirely on that heat shield doing its job perfectly.
And this right here is the terrifying reality of space travel. You can simulate almost anything, right? But the violent chaos of re-entry, that's something you can never fully predict. It was the mission's last and most critical test, and they would only know if they passed it once it was all over.
So after surviving all of that and looking back at our planet from the cold darkness of space, the astronauts came home with this incredibly powerful lesson. By going away, by seeing what's out there beyond our world, they realized that coming back to Earth, it wasn't just an escape, it was a choice, a conscious choice to come back to the only home we will ever have.
What they saw from out there was this small, fragile, blue and green orb, just teeming with this incredible diversity of life. 8 million species of animals, 400,000 species of plants, all of it contained on this one beautiful, precious spaceship. That is the perspective that going to the moon gave them.
And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? The astronauts had to travel nearly 500,000 kilometers to get that perspective. But here's the thing, we don't have to. Their journey is an invitation for all of us to ask ourselves, if you could step back and see the big picture of our world, what do you realize is truly important?